Antes de assistir, deixe seu like, inscreva-se no canal e ative o sino para receber os nossos vídeos. Muito obrigado.
The next game for Manchester United. Look at the table there. Self-explanatory, really. We can pop back, actually, and get an interview. We've got a couple of players, Diogo Dalot and Luke Shaw are with Des Kelly. Sign of the times, fullbacks doing the interviews.
Yep, never used to do it in the back in the day. I don't know what they're doing. I'm joking. No, they got a clean sheet, so well done to him. And it's his debut. Yep. And Diogo, to put on a Man United shirt, I'm sure he's proud. Yeah. He got through, got a clean sheet. The forwards normally get all the glory, but I'm sure they'll take some pride away from that.
Yeah, it was a kind of workmanlike performance. And difficult, it's always difficult on those plastic surfaces, isn't it? They've improved over the years, but they're still not ideal, are they?
No, they're not ideal, and it's not something they train on every day. They won't be used to it, but like we said, professional performance. They've won the game, they've got in there, they've got the 3 points which is needed. It's important to win that first game. It's always nice. Sometimes you go away from home against a good team, it's nice to get a point, but when you've got a team like Young Boys, you're expected to beat them, and they've come away doing the job, which is the most important thing.
You said you thought Paul Pogba was the star man. Well, his first goal alone probably warranted that, didn't it? Terrific.
Well, he was the difference in the whole game, wasn't he? Scored 2, set 1 up. He was by far the best player on the pitch. And I think even up to that point from the first goal, United were probably second best up to that point. I thought Young Boys had some decent opportunities, but just a moment of real quality from Pogba. And I think this is where you want to see him, almost in those Juventus days, higher up the pitch, near the edge of the box. Brilliant touch, drag back, and the finish. And that just shows you just his quality, for a player as big as he is, the composure just to drag this across and hit it that quick with your weaker foot.
And what's great, I think, is a lot of midfielders these days, they play simple, play sideways, and he played forward there and he followed his pass and puts the opposing midfielder under pressure there, takes him out of the game, and that allows him the chance and the opportunity to shoot. So this boy's got talent coming out of
shades
every
of Paul Scholes in that goal.
Exactly.
No, left foot. No, no. As Rio said, I think with a player with that much ability, the size of him, the physical strength and the speed of him, he should be doing that every week.
And such great technical ability as well.
I tell you, if he passes the ball forward and runs, nobody in the world will be able to live with him.
He hit a terrific pass that led up to a very debatable penalty decision.
Very debatable penalty, but I think, look, that ball...
I'm sure Luke Shaw believed it, really.
I don't know. I'm not sure what the defender's supposed to do. I don't think he has enough time to get out the way. Hits him so quickly. What is that, 4 or 5 yards maximum? His ball doesn't really go... His arm doesn't go to the ball, but... it's given, and it's a strange run-up.
I'm reliably informed there were 26 steps on the run-up, but there's only one thing that matters, especially after 26 steps.
26? Most people take 4 or 5, don't they?
It must be exhausting. Exhausting taking a penalty kick. Let's have a look at a few of the Paul Pogba stats from the game. There you go. Well, that's obvious. Even I can remember that. But there you go. Possession gained, highest numbers all around for Manchester United.
I think that says everything about his character. Wherever everyone scrutinises his game, for good or bad, he always turns up and wants the ball. Yeah. And that's a big part of a big player's makeup. You've got to want the ball through good and bad times, and that's what he does. And he's a player that's going to make this team tick over the course of the season. So they've got to get him in good form and keep him consistent.
I think the big thing with him, he plays with risk, doesn't he? Yeah. He's played Man United midfield. You need to be playing with risk. I know it doesn't always come off as we've seen, but we've seen that 93%. And he was playing them crossfield balls. He was playing balls forward. Perfect night for him.
Interestingly, during the summer, the reports were 2 players were at odds with Jose Mourinho, or Jose Mourinho was odds with 2 players. One was Paul Pogba, of course, the other Martial. And he scored the 3rd goal as well. So between them, they've scored all the goals.
Yeah, and Shaw got a clean sheet.
I don't know what I mean by that, but I was just trying to think of something.
I thought it was good, Martial. Sorry, I thought it was lively, especially second half. They came into the game a lot more, and I'm not sure what the centre-half was doing there, but Pogba knew where the space was, and Martial hangs out, and it's a little bit of a lucky finish, a little bit of a deflection, but I think Martial deserved that on the night.
They're 2 of the most valuable assets. You can fall out, but in the end, Manchester United can't afford to lose players of this quality to replace them. You're talking 60, 70s, 80 million, and I think if they can get Martial up and running with goals, in assists. Pogba, he's the focal point really of the United attack. There's some real quality assets at United.
What's Martial missing? Has he got the right attitude? There's clearly something, a bit of friction between him and
I think the problem for the young kids now in a big team is if you don't play well, you don't play. You know, because somebody else comes in, and the same with us when we didn't play well. So I actually just didn't play. And I think with Martial, he's in and out all the time. He needs a run where he does 10 games, and that's the level you can measure him at. He can be exceptional, but then his effort sometimes, I think, wanes, and then he doesn't play. Then Sanchez plays or Rashford plays, and he needs to be consistent. That's what makes the top players great.
Interesting football, isn't it? Going into these games tonight, you've got Manchester City flying, generally. They lose at home to Lyon, Manchester United win away. All of a sudden, the world's got a kind of different shade of colour to it.
It's a lovely evening, isn't it? No.
Careful.
Listen, I think what we want at the end of the day, we want the English teams to go through. I think Man City, they'll be all right in that group. They'll go through. And sometimes you need a little bit of a
If the
jolt.
results were the other way around, you'd be starting talking about crisis at Manchester United again. City have obviously been very dominant, so there'll be no talk. They'll just say, it's a one-off. They've had a bad night.
It's a good point. But I guess maybe all the attention will be on Guardiola. He wasn't on the bench. He was up in the stand. Maybe that affected them, but...
Just shows you the importance, possibly. Right, let's switch our attention to Juve. They were playing at Valencia, and, they ended up winning with 10 men there, isn't he? It's just... I mean, it's the first game of the group stage, but it's almost as though he's been sent off half an hour into the final.
Yeah, I think that he sees goals in this group, for one, and he's going back to his old club at Manchester United. I think that's brought on emotion, and sometimes some players can't control that, and you love him or hate him, that's just part of his makeup. Yeah,
it's funny, looking back a few years, I remember a certain England game where he had a little wink at somebody else getting sent off on that particular occasion. So it just shows you. If he'd have been on the pitch, he'd have probably scored 2 penalties.
He probably would have, yeah.
I can't see him getting back on penalties now. Can you? Now Pjanic has banged in a couple. So
he'd have been sitting in the change room thinking, wow, that's 2 goals now. How dare they send me off and I have an opportunity to score 2 goals. But this is what it is. I think Juventus are going to be a danger in this tournament. They've got the talent, they've got the experience, and they've got the Ronaldo factor.
How poor is that from Valencia? You know, to lose that game at home, 2-0 with 10 men. I mean, we were saying that they're quite a strong side, Valencia, but that's a poor result for them.
OK, interesting night's football, that's for sure. Next, we'll get the post-match thoughts of Jose Mourinho's team's performance. Quite strong against the plastic pitch. Doesn't think they should be played in a tournament like this. I wouldn't disagree, would you?
No, I wouldn't disagree at all. I think he's right, and I think it's interesting to see him talk about the 2 young fullbacks. Like Diego,
changed his tune rather on Luke Shaw. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, and because he's playing well, and what he done, he tried to get a reaction. I think Jose, he gets criticised for a lot of things, but I think with Luke Shaw, it's taken a long time. But you have to give him credit. He's tried to prick him in a certain way. He's tried different tactics. He's got him to where he wants to get him now. It's taken probably longer than he wanted.
Jose's got a lot of stick for that from a lot of people within the game, because it's quite unusual to criticise players publicly, which he's done with Luke Shaw.
Yeah, but he might have been doing a lot behind the scenes and hadn't had the reaction he wanted, and he had to go public maybe and to get where he is now, and maybe that's the way that it's gone. Who are we to argue? He's got where he wants to get. Is there
an inside story on Luke Shaw? Anyone?
Not that I know. You have to give Luke credit, really, don't you? If he's been getting stick, he has been getting stick publicly, but to come back the way he has done, you've got to give him credit for sticking at it, I suppose. We all knew he had the potential to be as good as he is being now. I don't think he's been amazing at the minute, and he'll have tougher tests ahead, but...
I suppose you have to remember, too, it's a terrible injury system, isn't it?
It's a really good point, because I think at that time he was flying. You know, he was exceptional at that left back position. So I think to come back from that takes time. But I think the one thing I think even Van Gaal criticised a little bit was maybe his work ethic at times, and that comes from training every day. You've got to show the manager that you want. But he's probably been one of United's best players this season so far, and maybe the young United fullbacks, they can emulate you know, the 2 terrific fullbacks at Liverpool. You know, Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. This kid I like. You know, he's got something. He's a terrific cross for the ball. I mean, look at that for a cross. That's an absolute peach. And technically, he's quite good as well. We saw some step overs in there as well, and I think he's. For 19, I think he's got a big frame.
Well, he did say one of the best young fullbacks in Europe.
Yeah, I think it's a good start for him. You were saying before the game, I it's a good cross to the ball, and he looks, going forward, he looks fantastic. I think that cross a minute ago was in the first couple of minutes, but he looks quick enough there as well. And not a great ball, but no, I think it's a great start for him.
Yeah, he's going to have tougher tests, but as a young kid to come in, especially after an injury, remember, he'd only played 8 games for Porto. So to come in here, obviously he slips there, the surface maybe playing his part there, but as I said, steady first game. Great cross. Great cross. And I think he's going to have a good future if he keeps it improving.
Let's have a look at Manchester United's fixtures. They've got some interesting games coming up over the next few weeks. Here they come. There you go. Lots of winnable games there, really. Can have a good run, can't they?
You'd like to
tougher
think so,
ones latterly, but
they've had them nice 3 games now, which you would expect them to win, and they have done. Wolves, Derby, West Ham, Valencia, Newcastle. You'd expect them to win them games. When it gets to Chelsea and Juventus, different story maybe, but the next 4 or 5 games, hopefully they can keep this run going and build a bit of confidence going into
that
Chelsea
next one. I think at Old Trafford, Wolves. I mean, they've been flying. That midfield, Moutinho and Neves, they've been terrific. So I think that would be a big game because they're very good in possession, Wolves. But the ones after that, I think they'll be quite comfortable for United.
The crisis is a distant memory, Rio, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a few people, including myself, are saying, listen, it's only 3 or 4 games in. You don't win or lose a title.
It's football. The madness of football in big clubs, isn't it?
Yeah, and that scrutiny is always going to be there. But listen, Mourinho's experience to understand that.
OK, gents.
Ela só anda de Ferrari, coisa igual nunca se viu. A bolsa dela da Chanel vale mais de 20 mil. Ela é celebridade, tem jatinho, tem iate. E nos finais de semana, curte um funk na boate. O perfume dela é índio, mano, ela só porta grife. E as amiguinhas dela é só gata de elite. Camarote, área VIP, ela fica à vontade. Manda descer a champanhe e faz festa de verdade. Ela é celebridade. Tem jatinho, tem iate e desfila de Ferrari. Ela é celebridade. Ela adora uma night. Ela só vive na vibe e desfila de Ferrari. Ela só anda de Ferrari, coisa igual nunca se viu. A bolsa dela da Chanel vale mais de 20 mil. Ela é celebridade, tem jatinho, tem iate. E nos finais de semana, curte um funk na boate. O perfume dela é índio, mano, ela só porta grife. E as amiguinhas dela é só gata de elite. Camarote, área VIP, ela fica à vontade. Manda descer a champanhe e faz festa de verdade. Ela é celebridade. Tem jatinho, tem iate e desfila de Ferrari. Ela é celebridade. Ela adora uma night. Ela só vive na vibe e desfila de Ferrari.